Hi, guys. It's Lou with Let Loose with Lou. We are here today with my co host, Steve. Hi,
What's up? What's
Steve.
up, Lou? What's up,
What's
guys?
going on? Are we ready for today's subject?
Oh yeah.
And I have our guest,
What's
Chris.
up? I'm back.
He's back.
What's up, Chris?
So we're talking about a really good subject that's I think super important nowadays because one, I feel that it's lost its meaning, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that I'm going to leave it to Steve to introduce our subject here.
So I will take it away and announce the subject. So tonight we're going to talk about the realm of apology, the realm of forgiveness, amend making, saying you're sorry. You know, like the good, the bad, and the ugly of that. So, um, I would just ask you guys to start. Do you find it hard, or do you find it easy to say you're sorry, or to apologize, or to forgive someone when they've crossed you?
Who are you asking first?
Yeah.
Who's hot on
Chris?
the topic?
Chris?
Oh shit. Yeah. Well, ask me something. And we'll go from there. I mean,
Was there
I've,
was there was ever was ever something that was done to you that was very difficult to forgive, and you were able to?
yeah,
How did you do it?
a lot of internal work, reflection, and guidance from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like mentor,
Mm-hmm.
someone that had experience from it. Self help stuff.
How deep was it? Like, how deep was the situation?
I wasn't necessarily thinking anything particular, but
Mhm.
I know that when something is done that is hits you at your core emotionally and it triggers something in you that the all those emotions, as like say from being a child, the childhood trauma stuff, and then it comes back, all the damage that was done, that as a kid, all the defense mechanisms that you've put in front of you to protect yourself against those things, you can no longer use because you're trying to lead a healthy life and forgive people,
Mm-hmm.
and or what have you. But it's to me, it wasn't easy at first. It's a learned process
Hmm.
for me. It was a learned process to be able to forgive somebody, and and forgiving myself, even for a lot of the things that I did. Was I had more of a harder time forgiving myself for my behaviors than I did having others, doing something to me, to forgive them.
Is that interesting? That's true, right? For some people, like, to forgive yourself is more difficult than to forgive others.
Yeah, it was very difficult. But once I learned how to forgive myself, that was the key for freedom for me,
Mm.
and the ability to be happy, and love myself.
That's always the number one.
Yeah, and I could never do that. I could never understand that.
How did you get to the point to understanding it, though? When
Uh,
did you finally realize it? When did you understand it? What situation were you in when you did understand?
well, honestly, it was through a program,
Mhm.
12-step program is
Mm.
where
Mhm.
I learned it, and walking through that 12 steps with another man, which is being vulnerable with another man,
And that's hard for men.
yeah,
We spoke about this in a couple of other episodes, right? Where men, it's hard for them to become vulnerable. It's hard for them to show their softer spot, right?
yeah. And the funny thing about it is that vulnerability, and the being able to do that as a man is actually, it actually, to me, for me, looking at another man, if they were able to do that, shows me that that man's actually strong.
It's a great source of power.
It is a great
It's a
source of
great
power,
source of
because you
power.
can't, once a man has that inside of him, you can't hurt the heart, because they know what it's like to forgive themselves, and
Mhm.
Were you,
being,
did you cry?
oh,
You
absolutely.
cried, and how did you feel when you
I
cried?
cried at the Voice last night watching someone sing.
Oh, yeah, because we
I'm not afraid to cry,
well, but that's a great thing because we had this topic, right, Steve? And it's like when men are vulnerable, how do women feel? Some women can take it, some women can't, or some men feel that they can't express their feelings, they can't cry,
Right.
they can't, become emotional.
Right.
And it is a lot because of childhood trauma.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's
for
like you're weak. I mean, my generation, my
yes,
dad was
our generation was tough.
no emotion, you know,
But how do you change that?
being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and
Mhm.
not being happy within your own life and having something missing from your life in your gut, knowing something, always looking for something to replace that feeling of emptiness, you know? I mean, it's
I think to that point, right, is
lonely.
like most people will resonate with your experience. I certainly do, where it's like it's just coming out of me whether I like it or not. It's like it's so uncomfortable, this pain point or this thing I'm resentful about that I'm having a hard time letting go of. Like
S-
I don't have a choice where I have to figure out how to let it go.
Yeah, and
Right, right. That where you're saying sick and tired of sick and tired. Like I'm aware that it's too much to bear.
yeah. I mean,
That sort of motivates it.
I'm blessed that, I mean, I've been able to actually work and use a 12-step program into my life, and, um, live by those principles, but the I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. One of the many sayings that you hear, it's just to me, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'll say
I
this.
don't know.
I'll tell you.
I'm
I'm
lost.
glad that you read the 12 steps.
Yeah.
If my entire I'm 45. If my
Yeah.
entire life, the
He's
the
just a baby.
the amends process
Yeah.
of the 12-step program is the best I've ever seen anywhere.
Yeah.
It is the absolute best, and I'll tell you why. Is one is you work through, they're called the corrective steps. These are steps 4 through 9. They begin with moral inventory, where you begin to
Yeah.
examine your
Mm.
angers, your resentments, your harms, things that really kind of like get your gourd still to bother you. And then it all goes pen to paper. And what that leads to is it starts to show not just like who you're resentful at or what institution you're resentful at, but also like how you were, what you were doing, or what your exact wrongs were.
Yeah.
And then what that does, when you really kind of give yourself over to it, is it will begin to reveal your defects of character, right?
Yeah.
Whatever those are. And that's very clarifying, because now you're like, okay, I see that I'm resentful to this person. I see kind of how I was, and I see this defect that's kind of part of my personality that participated in this, and now I need to do something about it. And then it begins this great process of amend making. Okay, so the regular world, like the non 12 step world, just knows about the notion of I'm sorry and please forgive me
Yeah.
and apologizing.
And that's a big
This,
word.
Lou, I
Yeah.
think you're gonna like a lot, because because amends is
Maybe, maybe not.
well, we're gonna find out, and I bet you dollars you're gonna like this. Is amends are actionable, right? So what amends look like is saying, okay, I own that uh, I'm a liar and a thief, and I stole money from you
Mhm,
and used it on drugs, for example, right?
mhm,
Is that the guidance of a sponsor then directs the sponsee to you and say like, hey, it would look like this, Lou. Hey, I've been sober for a while now. I've been doing my thing, and this is scary, but I owe you a big apology. You might say, okay, well, what it is? And I say, during my drug use, I stole about, I don't know, maybe like $1,000, and I got like 300 of it here today. I brought 300. I owe you 700 probably. And what I want you to know is I'm deeply apologetic that I stole from you. I'm deeply apologetic for lying to you. I owe you the money. And what I'd like to do, if it feels okay, is I'd like to wash your car, clean your house, get you the rest of the 700 in piecemeal. But more than that is what I want you to know, my sobriety is that I'm not gonna lie or steal from anyone else again.
mhm.
It's part of my living amends, part of my correction. Would that be acceptable to you? Right? And then the person has the freedom to say yes, no, go fuck yourself. But that person is writing and correcting their
Mhm.
behavior.
If
Not
they
not just
stick
that
to
that,
it.
that that's what amends is about. Amends is
Yes.
not just like, "Hey, I'm sorry I stole from you." It's, "I recognize that this really affected my life, it affected your life, and the behavior that I wanna do is I wanna be an honest man. I don't wanna steal any more from you or anyone else. Would this be acceptable?"
So I've had a situation like that where I had a family member that was living in my household. Thank you, Solomon. So I had a family member that was living in my household, and I started to see things missing, right? Now, I am very OCD. Like, if I leave this here, leave my fucking shit there. I'm going to pick it up there because that's where I left it. Because this does not have legs. It can't go like
Right, and you're
that.
gonna notice. I'm gonna
Yes,
notice.
because I feel that if you leave things where they belong, it's easier to find, right? So I had a little dish on top of a television. I had a ring there. And then I was like, well, that's kind of odd. Where's my ring? Okay, well, maybe I replaced it. Why was I thinking like that? Because I've never lost anything in my
Mm.
household and I didn't know this person was like this, right? So it was repetitive and repetitive and repetitive to where I said, okay, I know I'm not crazy.
Right, things are
I,
going missing.
yes. And so finally, when I found out who it was, what they were doing was taking, but then regifting. And that's a
What?
sickness. That's a fucking so if for an example, if I stole from you, but then I would come back and say, "Hey Chris, look what I bought you." Hey, look what I got. And you're like, "Oh, well that was very nice. That's very sweet." You're not comprehending
Well,
that
I own one just like it, and it's missing. I mean, who does that shit?
That's weird. Did that
crypto
did that did you
what's
just
it
so
called?
did that person eventually apologize to you?
No, they didn't. They actually blamed another person in the household. And so I was like, okay, but that person has always been in my household and never have I had this problem. So I said, out you motherfucking go. Get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done. Because she's been known to be like that her whole life.
Mm.
Oh.
And, she was a habituous liar.
How did that affect your ability to forgive or not forgive at all?
Um, honestly, I have not forgiven her because fuck you. You're a fucking grown ass woman. This is the kind of shit you do for someone giving you a goddamn roof. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
Sorry. I don't give a shit. I'm ruthless like that because you have a conscience. You have a conscience.
Some people don't, though.
Okay, but you know what?
That's the problem. You're.
Do you
I
find,
agree with
Lou,
you,
that
Lou.
this one eats at you? Like, is there a part of you that's like, I need to forgive this, even with
No.
God, to let it go?
No.
So it doesn't eat at you. You're just
Fudge,
like,
no.
she's a sick person.
She's a sick person.
and
Bye,
I'm
be
not.
gone. She stole from her own mother. She stole from men she was dating. It was horrible. When I started to recollect in pieces and stuff, I was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Really? And I've never had that. I've had brothers that
Well,
used drugs and never stole
so
from me.
so
Or
what is that? So you asked her about forgiveness, but what about the resentment aspect of it? She's holding on to it.
I'm not holding
You're
on to it.
not?
I'm speaking of it.
Okay.
And I'm not holding on
That's good.
because
I'm
yeah.
asking.
No, yeah.
So you're not
Because
resentful of her.
why should I? She's out of my life.
Yeah.
I ain't
Good
got
point. See,
yeah.
that's awesome because I don't have that ability. I cop a resentment and I have to work through it.
Well, it takes time to work at it, but you know what? You just have to remind yourself that you're not the problem.
I know. Yeah.
That person is the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah.
And if that person has a problem, be gone. Be
Yeah.
gone and figure it out on your own. Because if you can't figure it out, then you have a serious problem there, right?
So let's play to the crowd here
Look
for
at
a
it, he's
minute.
all
I want to play to the crowd a little bit. It's like there are people who are going to be like you who aren't going to be resentful. They're going to be angry. They're going to go, the writing's on the wall. This person's this way. They're dismissed,
yeah.
right?
I
And
just
then
dismissed
there's going to be other people
She's
who
never welcome in my house, by the way. Ever.
Yeah.
She came
You know,
to
I'm shocked to
visit.
hear you say that. I was certain that she was getting a Christmas dinner invite.
Oh, hell no. Hell, motherfucker, no. No. So she came to visit and they were like, can she come in? Fuck no. Nope. Bye, Felicia. You're out. No.
Yeah.
You're not welcome into my house anymore. Because
Front yard?
front yard,
Sidewalk?
sidewalk, street.
I knew you were gonna
There,
say that.
Straight.
Street.
there's definitely a point where that, yeah, the
Because,
resentment doesn't have to be
well,
there, but
yeah, and it doesn't have to. Now, did I feel betrayed? Hell yes, because
yeah,
I helped this person.
yeah,
I sheltered, fed this person.
yeah,
And then you're in my household and you're robbing me? And then you're
yeah.
blaming other people in the household because you cannot be accountable for your own actions?
That's tough.
That is horrible. That's horrible, and I wasn't raised that way. So I'm like, what's going on here?" Like, I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah,
really? Really?" And so I was just like, "Out. Out you go." And I you could do whatever you want in your life, be however you want, I don't care. Do it on your own time away from me because guess what? I'm living happy right now and right back to where I'm at.
right.
Not having to worry about anything in my house being stolen. Sorry.
That's warranted.
Yeah.
That's warranted.
Well, I don't care. You.
Well, that one sounds like very appropriate, right? It's like I get what this
Yeah,
is.
I'm
yeah.
all.
No, hey,
So let me kind of layer this one in, right? Like to the crowd out there, some people they know that something's gnawing at them. They know that they need to let it go. And I think this is different for you. I don't think that you'll resonate with this, Lou. But like a lot of the world trains human beings to apologize and to forgive. Like you're supposed to forgive. God instructs you to forgive 7 times, 7 times, right? Yeah, I know
No.
that's not you, but a lot of the world is this way. And so one of the things I've seen
Hypocrites.
is this pressure of like I'm the world is
Hypocrisy.
telling me or my
yeah.
religion is telling me that I'm supposed to forgive, but I can't. The
Don't use
crime is too
religion as a
strong.
front.
Well, here, let me ask you this. Like, so what do you do? Like, what do you do when you're like the crime's too much? I mean, this happens, let's say, when someone commits
You
murder,
whoop
right?
their ass. Send them off.
You walk away and never look back.
Does
That's
do you think
yeah.
that
Or
works?
whoop their ass.
Has that
Walk
worked?
Yeah.
away
Just
and don't
walk
look
away.
back.
Yeah, walk away and delete, delete,
Yeah.
delete,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
done with it because it's toxic, and
And
who
yeah.
wants that in
Because
their
that's the
life?
point, right, Chris? Is
Yeah.
somehow you got to
And
get
they
done
don't.
with it to get the
You
toxins
have to
out.
draw a
You gotta get done
boundary.
with it.
Exactly.
And I've had to do that with family members. I've had to draw a bound. Why? Because it's unhealthy for me.
Yes.
That's the point.
And yes, and a lot of people, I won't say most, but a lot of people don't have that ability,
Mhm.
self-care, to draw those boundaries. A lot of people, including myself, lived the drama,
Mm.
Yeah.
living the drama, being like addicted to chaos, not
That's unhealthy. That's
not knowing another way of
toxic.
life.
Toxic.
I that was the whole point, like of it's like, who am I going to be if I work on myself, getting rid of my identity and being vulnerable as a man and not showing, that I mean, I got some meat on my bones and I'm not a small guy, or even small guys you got to watch out for. But it's like, as a man, losing that identity. Okay, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to be, people are going to come at me. No, they're not come at you, because how you carry yourself is more important than how you behave.
And yeah, and that's
I think. I don't know. Behave. I can't say that. Maybe that's wrong.
Well, I
But
think what I've seen, like in the realm of apology, is if a man or a woman, we'll say a man, right, really gives a sincere, confident apology, I rarely seen it rejected.
the point. But yeah,
I could
Most people receiving will go, you know what, dude?
some people don't even. I've had people don't even talk to me if I want to apologize for in my past.
is it because it was repetitive behavior and
Well, yeah, because
repetitive
because I was
sorry?
an
Like,
idiot, or I
okay,
drank too much, or
now
Did either of
did
you guys ever
stupid
give an
stuff.
apology that you were like particularly proud of? Like, wow, I really did that.
no.
No,
Has
not.
anyone ever given you an apology where you're like, wow, that was impressive? Like, wow, thank you.
I don't know if I'd use that verbiage.
What would you say?
Or that, I would be more oh, okay, and then watch their behavior
Mhm.
and
And
their
but
action.
that's human like for us to do. If
To do
I
what, Lou?
to watch the behavior of
Right.
someone apologizing because I've always said, don't say you're sorry unless you truly mean it.
Right.
Unless you do you
You
know
want to
Absolutely.
that
change the
well because
behavior.
yes, because what does
They-
sorry mean? What's the definition? That
Yeah.
you acknowledge what you did wrong and you're going to change it.
Or that's only half of it,
That's okay and the other half is
is what you said, that you're changing it. The first half is, "Hey, I recognize that I did the wrong
Yes.
thing. I'm apologizing." But what you're saying, which is what I'm saying about what the beauty of amends work and 12-step program is the second half is behavioral action. You
Mhm.
have to say
Yeah.
like, "Okay, and I'm really gonna really work on, not blowing my top," or whatever the thing
Well,
is,
Or stealing or
absolutely.
or
lying
It's
or
whatever the
so
behavior is.
it's so important.
it
It's
is
so
Because that's
important.
what
important.
causes
Ac-
forgiveness. That's what causes the trust, right?
Accountability, self
Correct.
Accountability.
accountability, being holding oneself accountable, and restraint of pen and tongue, and all those things that we talk about. It's like just. I mean, if pause when agitated.
Like, see, like I have a problem when a toxic person will sit there and blow up and cause an argument.
Yeah.
And then you did this, like, oh my God. And you said this, you said that. And then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then you're like, okay, well, then don't do it again. And then again, they do it. They create this like whirl of just like, I feel like that person is mentally fucked up
Yeah.
that they need that kind of drama in their mind just to validate to themselves that they feel loved.
Well, that's where you have to step in and say, I'm not okay with this behavior. And if you
Exactly.
continue that behavior, then we're not going to be friends, and I'm not going to talk to you.
Exactly. But
I
then
mean,
but then you're the bad one.
I know you're
You're the
not.
bad one. You're
Who?
According
manipulating
to the
it
According to
toxic
who?
person. The toxic
to the
person.
toxic
According
person.
to who?
But
Yeah, a
like the rest
toxic
of everybody
person.
Well, that
here
so
on
be it.
earth will
So be it.
will go nod their head, which I was like, yes. It's
See,
like,
that's where you can lay your head on your pillow, knowing that you did the best you could do.
Oh, I lay
That
it
other person,
nicely.
they got to live with themselves. There's a point in time where that boundary has to be set,
right,
and
I'm not tolerating this
I'm not
anymore.
tolerating anymore because I need to take care of myself.
But a
Right. You're either
And
gonna
toxic
change
person will
this,
try to
huh?
fuck with that
Yeah,
piece.
but if you set the boundaries, they won't.
but
I've
once
done
you
it.
know that,
It's hard.
No,
then it's
no,
like
no,
then
yeah.
you don't have to do business with them, right? It's
Exactly.
like
Like I
I get
said,
who
I
this
will
is.
write you off. Bye.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Because yeah, I don't,
Sometimes.
especially in my age, I don't have time for drama. I
Right.
don't want your drama. I
Right.
don't want it. If you cannot coexist with me, my family,
Right.
whoever, then bye. Like,
Yeah.
like we're too short on time to have to go
Yeah.
through that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Go kick rocks barefoot.
Pop.
Right.
That's what I said.
I imagine both of you are pretty good at this, right? I don't know that everybody else is, but like it's a skill to sort of identify like, oh, this is a toxic person. I need to not get involved.
Yeah.
Versus I recognize this
Sometimes you
person's
get in, you're
cool.
too involved already before you even realize how toxic they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're really not that toxic, but something fucking triggered them in their life that they became toxic and then they reel you in
Yeah.
That can happen. But it's still your responsibility. Like, well, I have to.
to
If
remove
let's say it's a
yourself.
family member, you have a family member who's toxic, right? You have to figure out how you're going to take care of yourself and engage when you have to.
Yeah.
So
And
you can't
from
just say,
from an addictive side of things, if you have an addictive, I have an addictive personality. The things in my life that I mean,
But
it's
when
hard
you
to undo a
say,
lot of that stuff, and you're addicted to it, and you were addicted to it in the past, and then if you step in that pothole, next thing you know, you're going down the rabbit hole,
right?
and that
and you're
rabbit
right
hole, you
back in
come, yes, and
that
it's easy to get in
that
right, whirled right in.
sickness.
You get sucked right in.
Yeah,
And you're like, how the fuck did I just, what the fuck? How did
yeah,
I get back into this shit?
yeah.
When I was at peace, I was happy, everything's going good, and
It's just yeah. I
just
mean,
like the fucking toilet.
you that's the nature of being
I
a
don't know of
human
any
being.
toilet that makes that noise.
What did you say?
He's like, I don't think a toilet.
He's
Well,
never heard
Yeah,
a toilet make that noise before.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, this stuff is deep shit. It's
but
so
it's real.
it's real, but
It's real. It happens
But I
but
think
every
who
I
wants
think
to
day.
deal? Well, a lot of people don't want to deal with it. I mean, like I would have never thought of sitting here 30 years ago that I'd be sitting here talking about this stuff, you know, and oh
But you
my
know what the
god,
beauty
man.
of it is? We're sitting here, we're discussing it, and we're realizing what's right from wrong. And we're probably going to go home and think about this. And it's going to help us in one situation. And one situation, you're going to be like, damn, you know what? What Steve said,
Yeah.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to reframe, or you're going to think twice, or because that's the beauty of being able to discuss, talk about this. That's the beauty.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult when you're in a situation, like, this is speaking from experience, when you're in a situation where you have a toxic person on the other side and you're doing everything you can do to be healthy and trying not to be toxic, but you're engaging with this person because if it's a family member or a really good friend and they're sick and you want to help them and you don't want to lose a relationship, it's very difficult to separate yourself from that person.
Yeah.
It's extremely I
Very
mean,
difficult.
I've got personal experience with blood
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I've had to
Yeah.
do that with, and it's
And it's
not
unfortunate.
it's not a good feeling, but you know, neither is the destructive behavior if you stay in the relationship
Okay.
and don't set those boundaries. At
How
least for me.
So
how
here's what
about
I've
Oh, sorry. I
That's
was-
okay. So here's what I suggest and what I've seen, right? One is if you have a toxic person or they're an emotional vampire or they're whatever they are, is is you give them very little attention. Give them very little energy. So
Yeah.
because
Minimal.
you can't fill their cup and they'll just suck you dry. One. So you give them very little energy. And then on your end, which is what we're really talking about is, which is I would like to see more of in our world, is we're personally responsible. I am responsible for what I say and what I do. Period.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say to me, what you do to me, what you think of me. I'm responsible for how I am, and I'm responsible for my actions.
Yeah.
Right? And it's on all of us to decide, like, well, what am I? How am I gonna deal with this? You know,
Yeah.
here's this family member. I don't particularly like how being around them. I'm gonna conduct myself in this way, and I'm gonna try my best to not let them, you
Yeah.
know,
Sometimes a
get all
family
their muck on me.
and sometimes family members, they don't want to see how toxic they really are, and they don't want the help. So where do
Yeah.
you
They want to
go
be
from there?
right. They just want to be right.
And
They just
yeah,
want to be
that's
right.
the hard part.
You can't do
And
anything with
That's
that.
tough, Lou.
and no, it is a tough one. And you know what's harder is when they do blame their childhood trauma. It's like, why do you blame? Like, that's the past. It's over. Like, this is why we grow into adulthood. Is because we learn from right from wrong. But if you're gonna hold on to that, you're never gonna achieve and never gonna grow.
It's holding on to an identity.
And that's
That's
not
what they're
good
doing. They're holding
because
on
they're
to that
fucking
identity.
themselves up in their
Yeah,
heads.
well, they're holding on to it. They're holding on to the resentment. They don't know. I mean, that's what
This is
they're.
kind of what we're talking about. It's like,
Yeah,
let's say the subject is forgiveness. Is
and
okay. This
letting
person
go
has
with
childhood
love, man.
trauma, and they're having a hard time letting it go, and it's become their identity, right? Well, I'm this way because of my trauma.
And
I did
that's
this because
yeah.
of my trauma,
But those are
right?
excuses.
They are
Yeah,
excuses, but
exactly.
that's. I mean, excuses are. I mean,
You don't
widely used, like the word sorry.
Yeah, see, and I don't think I think as an adult, you need to quit that shit. Like stop. Like stop. If people would sit there and just be accountable, or listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I've always said, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
Yeah. Right.
Look in the mirror.
Right.
So let me just say something so this doesn't come across overly insensitive. Is there are people who have real trauma,
Oh yeah.
right? And so let's
It's
be
not as
clear
easy,
that, like,
huh?
I empathize with whatever occurred, whatever happened, whatever pain happened, right? That deserves love. That deserves
Well,
empathy.
yes. If there's
And
yes.
what also needs to happen is the recognition of this is your own life,
Now I
and that
understand.
you're gonna have to make some moves
Like
to
it's
figure out what you're gonna
understandable.
do with the trauma.
Yeah.
That,
If
that
But
that
if
person
it becomes your identity, it can steal your life away. You'll just
No, yeah,
not have a good
and
time.
it's understandable if a person got raped, if they were part of a murder of their parents or a child, or if they were beaten, then yeah, that's understandable. But you work on yourself. But if you're gonna sit
You
there
work
and
on that.
nitpick on certain traumas of life, like I'll give you an example. Just because I grew up, with brothers that were pretty violent,
yeah.
they beat people up,
Yeah.
whooped ass, drank, drugs.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and cry about it. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh my God, please forgive me because or I'm sorry because this is how I grew up."
Well,
No,
you're blessed to be able to do that. Some people don't have
I.
that
You
ability
know
to
what
get out of that cycle, that trap they're in.
But you know what it
So they need
is
help for that.
They need
They need
help.
help for that.
That's good. You're blessed to be able to do that, and not everybody can do that. I couldn't do that in the beginning. I was
well,
stuck in
okay,
that cycle.
but in the beginning, I couldn't either, Chris.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
but guess what? You learn.
Yeah.
It's once again, they're like steps,
You're
right?
willing
You're
to.
willing to,
That's
but the first part is
yeah.
admitting to it. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand what I saw. Like, okay, so when I was in school, I was probably not the nicest person, you know?
Fair enough, Lou.
Okay.
Fair
What do
enough.
you mean when you're in school?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
Uh-oh. So so there was this incident
Uh,
where I was at the emergency room, right? And I sat next to a girl and I was like, oh, she looks familiar. I was like, oh, where do I know her from? Right. Okay. And then I was like, oh yeah, school. And I was like, hey, hi, how are you? And she's all, and I was like, okay, well, maybe she doesn't feel good. She's at the emergency room, right? So I was just like, how have you been? Oh my God, I haven't seen you since school, blah, blah, blah. And she like looked at me like, are you fucking kidding me? You're talking to me?
yeah.
Like literally, I read those words right
Yeah.
out of her mind. And then I was just like, okay, well, whatever. I went on, whatever. She walked away. She disappeared.
That's
So
awesome.
so I was like, what was up with her? I'm like, whatever, okay. So I'm talking to one of my besties, right? And I was like, hey, you know who I saw? Who? So and so. And she's like, oh, you did? I'm like, yeah. I go, but she was weird. Like, she looked at me like, she goes, you whooped her fucking ass in high school. She goes, you kicked her ass so bad. And I was like, oh, damn it, you're right. I was like,
Oh, you
"Oh,
forgot
I
about that shit?
forgot." Man, every day was a fight.
Oh my
Boy,
God,
come
Lou.
on. Yeah, it was not I was raised with 5
Yeah, yeah,
boys,
yeah, yeah.
alright?
Yeah,
For a
yeah.
long time, I thought I had a penis. Like, I
Yeah.
was like,
You're just tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about it, and I just was like, "Well, now I feel bad because I would have been like, oh, sorry for that ass whooping." Not no.
No, oh
No.
my God.
No, but anyways, but, like, you feel, sometimes
Oh, wow.
anyways, yeah, so
Subject of forgiveness,
yes,
apologies, and amend making.
ay,
It's been
ay,
a
It's
good
a
one.
but I would have
lifelong
apologized.
lifelong process.
Yeah, but see,
Lifelong
you forget
process.
those things, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I grew up that way, but then now, I'm like, I don't wanna be like that. I had kids,
Yeah.
in my teenage years, of course, I was a rebel.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But you grow up, you have kids, and you learn not to be that way. You learn how to pick and choose the fights. And
But that's
sometimes
personal responsibility, right? Like I,
yes.
I take responsibility for I beat up all these kids in school,
Mm.
and now I would like to amend this behavior and be this other type of person that doesn't do that.
You just grow up. You learn to grow up. But the point is, if you could learn, if one person, one individual can realize that, why can't everybody else? Like, let's learn from our mistakes, from our past behaviors. Like, why can't we? Just because you grow up in an alcoholic, abusive relationship doesn't mean that you sorry that I bore you. God, he just got back and I'm already boring him like this. Look at that. But you but you know what?
I better not yawn. I'm gonna get
But
it.
you get what I'm saying? Like we have a conscience. Our conscience tells us what's right from wrong. If we have to ask ourselves if it's right or wrong, we're giving ourselves the answer.
Right.
There you
True.
go.
Yeah. So I don't know. Should we forgive? Absolutely. Forget? Maybe not.
Or
Yeah.
maybe there's some
I
things
agree
that
with
are
that.
just that are not forgivable, right?
Yeah. Some
Sometimes
things
they're
are,
not.
yeah. And then
Like, a lot of forgiveness is about for you,
mm,
and
for
then
your
not
peace, for your
forgetting,
inner
and
peace,
then
yes.
not forgetting,
Not forgetting. Yes,
so you don't
exactly.
get into it again.
Exactly. Because some people like this repetitive behavior
Yeah.
and it's not healthy. It's unhealthy.
Yep.
And I feel that if you're going to keep apologizing to me for doing something that you repetitively do, then the value of the word is completely don't apologize. Just
Yep.
don't. Turn around, and be gone.
Yep.
Right. If you're not going to change the behavior, then you're just
Exactly.
talking.
Exactly. And a lot of people need to learn that. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's part of probably feeling better within themselves.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll leave it like this. I think the best apologies are ones where you sincerely mean it and you change your behavior.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree. And if you guys have had any experiences with the topic that we just spoke about, please comment and let us know because we would like to know how you have handled the experience.
Amen.
Right on, Lou.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
What do you guys think? You think we'll wrap it up?
I think we wrap it
think
up.
it's
All
good.
right. Well, all right, guys.
That's right.
Well, we're going to be wrapping it up. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thanks
It
for
was
having me again.
absolutely. You're always welcome.
Being
You know that.
vulnerable.
Oh, no. It's all good. And Steve, always a pleasure. Boom.
Likewise.
Yeah,
All
awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, guys. See you on the next one. Don't forget to
Peace.
wait. You don't forget
Comment,
Peace.
to
like,
like,
And
subscribe.
Good night, guys.
Bye.